What's up, my precious little pack, and welcome back to VEGA Conflict. So, we are being... well, now we're in the planet strike. And I'm trying to find a little 40 target, not 45, because I'm testing around with this little fleet, seeing how well it handles against each one. And I figure I'll do the in-test on video for this one, because I haven't hit a 40 yet. I hit a 37 with practically no damage. There's a 40, it'll be gone before I get there. 37. Come on, where are all the 40s at? But I was going to step it up one at a time and see just how much damage I take to make sure that I could find an optimal one. And then step down from that one. The one under the one that you can farm easily would be the one you auto farm, of course. But this is again using the tier 3 fleet with the tier 2 carrier, which can be unlocked easily by farming. Okay, where are all the 40s at? $37. And earlier what I did was I hit a 33 and took free repair time across the board. This time the goal is to more or less see how well they stand against them. $35, $33. Yes, I know I'm just scrolling around the planet a lot, but half the time whenever I tag a target in planet that's above the limit of 27 or 30, it takes me out into the sector to find a target. And it just tells me there's no targets out here of that kind. You know what? Let's just go all the way right to 45. Let's see how horribly or how well this goes. 42 versus 45. Right off the bat, I'm going to employ the strafing tactic once the carrier is completely spun around. It's actually going extremely easily. There's no way they're going to destroy everything without taking some damage. I'm speechless. That one's gone. Go right down the middle. You after their carrier. And don't even worry about the squadrons, because they're going to get on you and attack you anyways, no matter what you do. And the damage of this fleet doesn't have enough AoE to destroy all of them very, very quickly. Even focus firing with the thermal beam 3s doesn't destroy them. They're just stupidly overpowered because they're kick-sized fleets. And what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? 7% health lost. What is that? It's almost 60 minutes. 32 minutes, that was off by a lot. I'm used to quickly calculating the time for my high level fleet, not the low level. Alright, that one has a longer repair time, this one has a moderate, and this one has a very long. Well, that was just the general test of them. They still can be improved greatly for the setup for each one. One thing you can trade out is go all thermal beams, dump that one, and drop the missiles, but only if you have the thermal beam. If you don't, the next up that would be researchable tech for you would all be the... what, Disruptor A5? Yeah, Disruptor A5 would be the next, just for the damage. Or if you want range, you could always switch up and go Polaron Ray for the range, but then lose all the damage. And the next fleet that I'll be fitting after I build the next ship, and yes, I'm building one of the newer ships, and I'm refitting and building 2 or 3 of the smaller ones, then one large one. I'm trying to set it up so it's even build times. But as time progresses, I'll build up the next fleet, which will most likely be Nighthawk frigates. And I'm going to either use Thermal Beam 2 and 3, or I'm going to use Disruptor Ray or Polaron Ray. Just because they're specifically good against what targets? Because of how they are? Easy. They're good against battleships and destroyers. So they're going to be good during the farming for other low-level things. Once they're mark upgraded, of course. But along with that, I just wanted to talk about the new battleship a bit. The video was released. We actually see it. It is a very, very, very large and very, very interesting, per se, ship. But it seems like they're starting to fall behind the category of making something unique. And what I mean is, let's take a good look at the Guardian and the Punisher. They look almost like the same ship model, just modified. Well, they practically are the same ship model, with the exception this part of the ship on the Punisher is different than this. And that looks to be the same case, which is about everything else, because they're all a bit different. But then, now the new battleship, it looks like a mixture of a freaking cruiser and a destroyer, mixed in with what you'd expect of a battleship. Big, bulky, and just in generally fat and brimming with weapons. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but I mean, it's a battleship, so of course it's going to be useful, but visually it isn't very appealing. To me, it's not. The fact that they're making these ships every month and they're releasing them, that's not a whole lot of time to actually work on the model of a ship. Now, after you've released them, what I would say, don't release another one for the next few months. Work on the models of the ones you've already released, make them unique. But that aside, let's get to the next point of this video, which is the Planet Strike, which was what I was just pointing out. The fleet can do it, and something I never even realized, Impulse Beam's range and damage output are exceptional, but I don't know the recharge rate or the rate of fire. So, you know, you could have 70 DPS because it has a few hundred damage, but a several second reload time, compared to the Thermal Beam, which is a very quick firing weapon. But I'm going to pick up each level of everything, as I always do, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to review them after I put them on the ships. So I'm going to slowly fit, review, and I'm going to start doing my general thoughts of what would be a good low-level build to keep repair time down but have a good time. The general thought for that, though, is light armor, heavy weaponry. And along with that, the prizes are the Ragnarok Carrier, Destiny Cruiser, Condor Frigate, the Scythe Destroyer, the Gariel Cutter, and the Dread Battleship. All of which are fun little ships, but the main one I would say to get would be the Ragnarok Carrier, the Bomber Squadrons, and Interceptor Wings for your base. Now, if you can't get all of that, just go for the Ragnarok and the level 4 Bomber Squadrons for it. And if you can actually get everything, well, lucky you. And for lower levels, I'll be doing more stuff to help you advance. But this was Tier 3 versus the event fleet, the Planet Strike fleet specifically. And next, I'm actually going to take a few of the Impulse Beams, and I'm going to equip them on the ships. Actually, I could put Impulse Beam 2 on the Nighthawk frigates. Very high range, very low weight, very high damage. That would actually be very useful. I'd have to test it and see, so I need to get level 2 for the frigates, level 3 for battleships. Okay. And since it is a beam weapon, yeah, it's a beam, it's always going to hit and never miss. That's good.
Ready to go.
I don't think there's anything else. Frenzied Hex Missile, this is one I would recommend getting because I had what these ships are using, the explosive cruisers in this group, they're using the Hex Missiles. So if you can get the Frenzied version, that'd be better, just for the damage output. And a few other things. Let's see, Reinforced Rails is for cruisers only. Boost the performance of projectile weapons. Ooh. And gives 40%. I'd have to test that one out and see just how well that works. I already have level 1. % weapon mass. So you'd have to be careful with what you put on them. I'll have to test out a few builds with them and see. But that aside, I'm also going to be doing a bit more content on the channel, because as you noticed today, the first video was Starbound at the later release date. This video will be released real late, so I am sorry about that, but that aside, I'm going to slowly build up everything, and as I go, I'll fight the tier that you're meant to use, or supposed to use, according to Kixeye, against the fleets that they set up for us to fight, and I'm going to see how well it goes. So eventually I'll get into the Demon Corps versus Aliens, and this one I'm not looking forward to because they have no damage resistance, and by the time that I get to them, there will most likely be no standard alien fleets in the game, because there are no standard alien bases in the game anymore. So I'm just slowly waiting for stuff to slowly turn into nothing but Ancients to do the stupid plasma damage, which is... It was as bad as the Aliens, and it just created an even bigger difference between Xeno Division and Axis, and no resistance or anything like that. And I mean, researchable ships, they only go to tier 3, and if you try and jump up, well, you're gonna have a fun time doing that, to say the least. And build time on tier 4 stuff just jumps up from tier 3. I actually have to say this. I felt the most comfortable building and refitting stuff in tier 3 over every other tier I've played. Except for the tiers below it, just because, again, lower build time, lower fit times, all of that, just because they can't equip as much. Or you have to think about what you're equipping. But I'm going to leave it here, everybody. What are your thoughts on the general status of the game, the Planet Strike? If you have any tips for lower levels, or for anyone in general, leave them below. If you want to see more of Vega's videos, there is a playlist that is set up. If you just want to see random stuff, well, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, so if you just want to randomly dip into them, go right ahead. But I'm going to leave it here, everybody. And as always, I'll see you later.